let's start. Okay, so what I wanted to share with you today was my current knowledge of what is on at the international level in terms of building international federation of data and interoperable data. So the idea is, how do we provide users with data that they can use to design services, data services for any purpose. So the context, it's you already know that. I believe the research objectives we have in agriculture, forestry, I could have said biodiversity, really necessitate more and more interdisciplinary researches and data reuse across different disciplines or different purposes. So this is an example in my institute, but I'm pretty sure you can copy paste in your own activities. The other point is that whatever, even within a discipline, the data is scattered in many databases, and it is very rare or seldom that you find all the data you need in one database. So you often have to get the data from different places. And so I think for many people who are maintaining information systems, they have evolved in their way of maintaining their system from a paradigm where they were really trying to develop comprehensive databases, getting all the information that was needed for their users in one place, to another paradigm where they know that they will never reach this objective if they want to be really comprehensive or to serve the evolution of needs of their users. So now they are evolving to a paradigm where they are trying to evolve their system, information system, to something that can be connected to other information systems, so that your user can get the information he needs from several sources. And so the other the things that comes with that new paradigm is that you really have to be very careful about your standards, identifiers, etc. Because when you are working on a single information system, you can perfectly use internal identifiers or standards. It's no problem. But once you try to be connected with external database, then you have to use internationally agreed standards and identifiers. So again, just to set up the scene, if you look at these federations of information system, ideally, there should be a network of stable or sustainable nodes, which is something which remains to be addressed in detail, I think. And this network will develop some central portal or services. For instance, the first one, perhaps the most basic one, I will show you some example about, is searching, that being able to search data using keywords across all the information systems of the network. So in these networks, there is no constraints on the content or the purposes of each individual databases or information systems. The constraints that will be put will be more on tools that allows communication between databases. So I will illustrate the state of art, or what I know of the state of art, with some example we have been working on in my lab. So we have worked on 3 use case of federation of data. The first one we worked on, which was our proof of concept, was the federation of data of the WIT initiative. So it's an international initiative which is supported by which has, set up a WIT information system expert working group. And the work I will present you was supported by the Research Data Alliance, that was very interested to see how you can really develop this kind of federations of data. The second example is something more recent. We have been the European infrastructure for plant phenotyping has decided from the beginning that the data will be set up as a federation of data, and was envisaging from the beginning to have central services that would work throughout this federation of data. And so we have started to develop something in the frame of a very strong collaboration with Elixir, which is the European infrastructure for bioinformatics. And the third example is closer to the purpose of our current project. It's a federation of data of the French infrastructure of resource for research in agriculture. So it's a network of gene banks in several domains: animal, forest, crops, environment, and microbes. And so we developed a search portal across this federation of data. So to go a little bit more in details, the first central services that you can think about is being able to search data by using keywords across this federation of information systems. So the idea is to get from the different databases on the left some metadata that will contain all the searchable keywords. And these metadata are organized through a common data model, so that everybody agrees when you say that these are accession. Everybody agrees that what is an accession, etc. So it's a high-level data model, which will in fact reflect the way that you will filter the information that you get in the end. So you extract this kind of data, you index it, and then you have a web interface on which the user can enter keywords and retrieve some Google-like list of results. And so we have set up this for the WIT-IS since, and it's in production since 2015. And the current state of the work is a one-stop portal that allows to search using keywords across 16 information systems, which are really across the world. Several are in US, others are in Australia, Mexico, and across Europe. So, and it works, and we are still improving this service. So, on this experience, we have started to think about what should be improved with the users of this federation of data, of this service. and they are you can work both on the architecture of the federation. So for instance, at the beginning, all the nodes had to install the indexing software, but sometimes it's a big constraint, and when you want to make an evolution of the software version, it's a big constraint. So we have worked on other way of gathering the data that would be more flexible, and also to allow people who have poor computing or IT support to be part of the federation also. And we can also think about improvement to improve findability, working on the vocabulary, on type of filters, etc. So this is something that you can, but then you start to have a community of work that can think about how to improve a service. So we have applied this software, make it more generic, and we have applied it on this federation of data of gene banks in several domains. So this is the search tool. You can have a look on it if you want. It's the last version of the software, so it's I think it's the best one we have at the moment. So this is, for instance, on the screen you have the result of a query with the keyword PISOM, and if you enter this keyword currently, you will leverage Google-like results about plant genetic resources or back libraries, bacteria, which have as an host Pisum sativum, and animals. It's a genomic library made from an aphid feeding on Pisum species. And so you can filter all these results either by domain, plant, bacteria, or animalia, by taxon, by the type of material that is conserved in the gene banks, seeds, genome library, for instance, or when you have no information. Sorry, it's in French. It was a decision of the consortium. And you can also filter on country of origin, collect, biotope, etc. So you can. So when we set up this search tool, we had a lot of discussion with the consortium on the type of filter they wanted at this level of search. And it was really interesting, and I think it drives also some potential of improvements in the futures. And so if I click on one of these results on Pisum elatus, for instance, in fact, I will link back to the original information systems of the gene bank. So what I want to say is that the portal is only gathering metadata, not data. It gathers what we want, we put in it, in fact. But the data stays in the original database. So findability, as I said, is really enhanced at this stage by sharing rich metadata with a lot of keywords and vocabularies, and perhaps also well, a little bit of standardization or sharing vocabularies would probably improve findability. So for instance, if in the microbe gene banks they don't use Pisum but P as a keyword, and if I type P and I do nothing on semantics or whatever linking vocabularies, then I won't find the resource is linked to P or PISM in the that are in the microbe gene banks. So this is a very lightweight, easy to implement service. There is no constraint at this stage on data standardization. It improves the things, but at the beginning you can do it and it works. Any data type can be added, which is kind of service, but there is no real data integration, right? It's just you find the data, but you don't integrate it, you don't combine it together. So if what people would like to do in data federation, usually it's to be able to integrate data, to combine different sets of data. And so to enable that, then you have to work on data interoperability. So I would like to share with you a very naive example, but I think which helps to set up what is really important. For instance, the people who are modeling the impact of climate change using plant phenology, they are trying to gather phenology data and climatic data. So phenology data, in fact, the data is a date which is associated to a species and an event. So the event is, for instance, 50% of the flowers are open, and a georeference. So where did I observe this event? So what date and where? And so the date and where are important to be able to interoperate or to integrate with climatic data. So what was the temperature at this date and in this place? And so you have to share the same way of writing the date and the georeference and the place. Perhaps in addition, the events, so how do you describe a phenological event or phenology trait, can be described very differently, or given the community who is scoring this information. So modelers of the impact of climate change might use some special events. Geneticists or breeders might be interested in different, slightly different ways of describing it, etc. And this also has to be clear if you want to integrate data from different communities. So the example I will show you is a use case that was set up by the Elixir plant community. So Elixir, again, is the European infrastructure for bioinformatics, and there is a community of people working on plant. And when I say plant in Elixir, it's forests plus crops. So it's any plants, in fact, model species, whatever. It's a plant. And so the idea of this community was to work together with the Emphasis infrastructure on plant phenotyping to enable the automatic integration of genetic and genomic information about the plants, of the accessions, of phenotyping data on these accessions, and also with environmental data. So this is more in the field of Emphasis. And so this is based on a backbone of good practices. that have been set up, well, the first publication was in 2016, paper, I would say, publication as a paper, but on websites you could find information, I think, back in 2014 or something like that. I think I've seen appear this concept in around these dates. So it's a series of guidelines that help you to know what has to be done to make your data findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. I'm sure I'm sure everybody of you have heard about it. There are several levels. Well, when you have an information system or data, you can be more or less fair. And ideally, at the end, if you make everything very right, your machine should be able to consume automatically your data, understand your data, and be able to integrate and analyze it automatically. So these are main guidelines, and then you are more, let's say, community or discipline specifics guidelines. They can be declined more specifically depending on what you want to do. And I would like to point to you that you have several registries of standards and guidelines which are existing and that can help you when you want to progress in this field or to set up something. One is fairsharing.org. In Europe. For the ontologies, you can also use the ontology lookup service, which has been set up by EMBL ABI. And probably this is one example in France, but there are also some community-based portals of standards and guidelines that can be helpful. So just to go back to my use case, we wanted to connect genotyping and phenotyping data. So for genotyping, you have a lot of standards which have been set up and APIs and everything that have been set up by the big repository, well, the international archives in genomics. But for phenotyping, the work was really to be done and organized. So this is a very good illustration, I think, of when nothing exists or what has to be done. So you need some semantic standards, which are more about setting up the vocabulary that people will be used. How do we describe the data and the idea? And this is very biologist driven or data producer driven. And so we decided to formalize it using the crop ontology for phenotyping in plants, using the crop ontology guidelines. And to involve we involve really crop by crop or plant by plant the community of data producers in the development of these specialized ontologies. And then you also have to work on how do you structure the information about the whole phenotyping experiment. So you have to design a kind of data model. So for instance, you have a study which is one phenotyping experiment, and this study is linked to a description of the biological material, etc. So what are the metadata for these experiments which are really important? So this is a work that was carried out with the development of MyAPI, which is a minimum information about phenotype, plant phenotyping experiment. And then you need also some technical standards for data integration and sharing, so web services. And so, for instance, for genomic data, there are consortium like GA4GH, so it's about health, human health, sorry, consortium, which has carried out a lot of work on standardizing web services for genomic data. And for phenotyping on plants, we worked at the international level with I'm sorry, I will correct this, with the BRAPI Breeding API Consortium, who developed standard web service for phenotyping, well, for data for plant breeding. So it's data on plant genetics. You need phenotyping, genetic resources, genotypes, etc. So, and all these standards have to be consistent between each other. And so you see, and you see that you really need to gather biologists and computer scientists. So for the semantic, it's very much biologist driven. For the metadata, it is important to work both with biologists and computer scientists. And the technical is more computer scientist driven, but it has to reflect or to be consistent with the structure and the semantic. It is better because then everybody understands each other if you use the same word for the same concept. So this is I won't go very much into details, but in these matters, it is really important to work, when you work on standardization, it is really important to gather all the important stakeholders to agree at the international level. And so we were fortunate with the BRAPI that there was such an initiative, very large initiative. And I think what we brought with Elixir and Emphasis, it was to give a very important contribution for phenotyping specification. And there is a paper which is out now. And the beauty of these standard web service is that then the whole world can develop services, data services, and you can use them afterwards and add them to your own portal or data portal or whatever. So there are some applications which are based on the BRAPI, which are developed to enable genotype visualization, graph filtering, data filtering for phenotyping data, genealogy visualization, etc. So in Elixir, still going on our use case, we decided to develop an open source software that takes advantage of all these standards, and in particular of the BRAPI, the web service. And the idea was to start to link genomic centralized repository, namely ENA or EVA, so the archives of ABI, and phenotype distributed repository, and make them searchable through the same one web application, which is called FAIR, for Fair Data Finder for agronomic research. And so the architecture of the federation is described here. Again, on the left, you have the databases or file system that can be queried. There is a step of metadata harvesting, and then something which indexes everything and gives access through the BRAPI again to this data, and allow the setting up of web user interface and what is currently also under work, batch download of data. So the real integration is still under work. We have a proof of concept, but it's not in production open to everybody. But the part about the federation of phenotyping data is already in production now. And so it is possible to search with one keyword for data which is in different databases and get some results. So what is different now is that the result that you get can be already presented, you know, in the same way with a structured presentation. So now we can present the results with the name of the genotypes which are in the data set, and we present it the same way if it is coming from GNPIS, from IBET, from the Portuguese database or whatever. And this is thanks to the breeding API, where when we get something, we know exactly what it is, and everybody has the same meaning under the same terms. What is still to be done is to enable a link back to the ENA European in production ENA European Nucleotide Archive, but it is the next step. Okay, so I don't know if, so these are the example I know and what works in our hands. Now, in this last part, I wanted to raise, or perhaps to structure a little bit, the question that we have to address in GenRes Bridge. And so the first question for me is, what kind of data federation do we want to build? And for instance, if we think about enhancing data quality and quantity about the accession within domains, somehow this is, well, I did it with my own, you know, knowledge, but the players are these ones. So you have the local gene banks and all their context of partners or whatever, their partners which characterize some of the accessions. And the central repository are trying to gather, you know, the information from the gene banks into their central repository. And this central repository exchange information with international repository, or perhaps would try to link with other international repository holding information, genomic information, for instance. We could think about linking these catalogs automatically with ENA, EVA, etc. If there is information in this. So you have also some workflow there that have to be, that I'm sure you already have thought about this, but are there some improvements or whatever, or interoperability which is needed to make it better? And then if you, and yes, perhaps also think about some data validation tools that would improve the quality of the data here before it comes here, or we do it here. I don't know, but this is also a question which is not trivial. And then the purpose of Generous Bridge is also to see how we can make interoperability between domains. And so the question is, how do we enable data integration across domain and with a wider biodiversity? So I have put some of the databases we have been speaking about. So if we look at the plant domain, there is UFGIS, EURISCO, and all the plant search, trait search, garden search, etc., which are maintained in your institute, Suzanne. And there are some tools that should allow interoperability between our different database, which is the taxon. The taxonomy is probably one of the most important thing to allow interoperability between these databases. And then with the animal domain, probably that the interoperability between plants and animals will be more based on location. Where can I find co-occurrence of conservation of animals and whatever plants? But I don't know, if we want to work on animal feeding, perhaps the taxon will also be important. So here the question for me is, what do we want to achieve? What are the use cases which would be interesting to work on at this level? And then when you know the use case, you can start to think about the flows of data which are needed and what standards or identifiers are really required to do it. And perhaps the other thing I wanted to discuss with you is that there are already some initiatives that have started also to have the same kind of thinking. And a few years ago, there was a discussion between organized by GBIF and Biodiversity International on how GBIF could enhance his services towards the agro-biodiversity field. And so they started to make this same mapping around GBIF. What are the different information that could be really interesting to be linked with GBIF occurrence in terms of diversity, traits, use, nutritive value, risks, literature, semantics to help to link everything, or whatever, or climate, socioeconomic data, etc. And so, and they started to map where the data sits and what are the APIs or web service or what connector which are already available. So this is something I think that could be interesting to share. And they had also in this workshop, I think, an interesting working method, which was based on the use cases with a kind of method of work around these use cases, where you describe your main objective, what is the services that you want to address, who are the actors who are interested by these services and providing the data, what is the information which is needed to give this information, the data sources which are the most used, the tools which are the most used, and the data flow which is needed, how to be able to gather the data. So I think it is a something that we should look at. And these are some of the use cases they have been working on. I don't want to go throughout all these use cases, but for instance, there was one find agrobiodiversity hotspots and monitor changes for decision on conservation. I think the find agrobiodiversity hotspots was something that was interesting in GNRSBridge, but it's one example, and we can think about other. So I think we have to perhaps see what are our use cases here. And finally, I wanted to share with you an opportunity, which is the establishment of a biodiversity working group in Elixir. So it is really recent. We have had our first meeting in August. So it was created because the partners of Elixir were more and more contacted by people working in the biodiversity field, and that wanted to work with people of Elixir to connect, for instance, to connect biodiversity data with the genomic archives data. And so GBIF is working with ABI currently to automate the connection of the occurrence with genomic data that would have been acquired on them. And this is an ongoing project, but you have a lot of examples. And Elixir itself has also a working group, for instance, like Metagenomic Marine, which is really, in between life science, more biology, and biodiversity and ecology. So we have, in Elixir, there are both the activities. So Elixir decided to set up a group to better structure its work with external partners working in the biodiversity field, and share the work, better share the work and share a common strategy and of collaboration. And I think it is something which is interesting for us also to look at. The first discussion we had, it is always the same. So I think Elixir was not really seeing the problem of genetic resources, was really its mindset was more about ecology and biodiversity in link with ecology research in ecology. And again, genetic resources are always a little bit in between life sciences and biodiversity. So, but I think this working group is really interesting to capture perhaps international tools for interoperability and part of our strategy, I think. And on this, I will stop and just show you all what I have shown you has really emerged from our work and our collaboration in different national and international infrastructure or initiative. And for me, GNRSBridge is now one of them, and it is well, I hope that we can make something useful and operational in the end. And I will stop on that and open. So if you have questions, things which which were not clear or